There is a bit of unintended notoriety connected with the title of this film. You have to see the Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez writer-director collaboration from dusk till dawn. The movie's characters have set up shop at a truckers and bikers bar. The titty twister to cool their heels. The MC announces a new entertainer for the stage, a woman named Satanico Pandemonium. The voluptuous actress Salma Hayek step out draped with a huge snake and little else, and proceed to rock her hip to the delight of every man who can see her. It's a stunning moment toward the middle of a not very striking flick. The place is Spain and the time is most likely pre-1834. Sister Maria is a devoted nun who finds herself visited by vision of Satan or Luzbel. The devil appears as a man to Sister Maria and using obvious biblical symbolism tend to carry a beaten into apple. Sister Maria is startled and horrified by the series of temptation that happen to her via the film's faulty special effect. As another user has pointed out, this is an obsession scenario by an external devil. One important observation should be stated. The actress playing Sister Maria is very beautiful with warm bedroom eyes, and many of us wouldn't mind watching her getting robbed of her virtue, as well as tormented by particular sins. But what happened is with a little influence from Beelzebub, Sister Maria soon indulged in romance, seduction, and heresy. The film has a church-like quality to the way it moves slowly and harp upon moments of less than dramatic value. And with this fantastic logic, Sister Maria turned into hell in a headdress. One scene in particular is actually quite disturbing, with Sister Maria covering her body with her uniform. The flick isn't entirely bald-faced exploitation though, and has interesting question about faith in its dialogue. That aside, the flick's appeal seems rather obvious. In life, most of us want what we cannot have, and the fantasy of despoiling such a person can be very powerful. Satanico Pandemonium uses its subject matter effectively, and despite unsatisfying story resolution, it packed quite a wallop. Found this film rather interesting. It's as cheesy and campy as it could be. Acting is rather bad, poorly plotted, and special effects are simply ridiculous. However, got hooked by it. It is a top expression of exploitation cinema, full of fake blood, male audience oriented soapco, and ludicrous dialogue that seem to be copied from a Siglo di Oro play. If you like exploitation film, give this one a try. It has its artistic aspiration, but as the director might have, you will forget them rather quickly. This movie is true to form with the opening of racial prejudice toward the nun who are not Mexican. This movie was very confusing, but this is not the case, because this generation of movie viewer has to have everything explained to them because it hurt to think. The movie is about a nun who's harassed by the devil all because of her purity or desire to be chaste. Ever since she has been in contact with a livid whom I shall refer to as the Count of Dante Crispo, Sister Purity get the urge to seduce, got harder and fell on none. I will not share any more, but for me it's worth the investment. I like this movie more than Alucarda, and that's saying a lot since Alucarda's pure cult. Satanico Pandemonium is a good nun gone bad film from Mexico about Sister Maria, who, after an encounter with the devil, goes on a mad spree of love, deviance, and bloody homicide. The main reason for this film's notorious reputation is due to Maria's lusting after an underage boy. This was pretty shocking for its day, but is less so in this era of desensitization via the internet and trash TV. Whether she is inside or outside of the convent, Maria is relentless in her search for debauchery, ultimately committing several murders to cover up her sin. It's fascinating to watch her transform from a Julie Andrews or the Hepburn type nun into a full-on devil maniac. Unfortunately, the ending is a swindle take on to placate the judge and the censor. The filming locations are gorgeous. The costume design is lovely. Though given little time on screen, tall, dark and handsome Enrique Rocha very ably embodied the dangerously charming force of personality of Luzbel, while beautiful Cecilia Pezet is most prominent as the perfect picture of compassion and innocence in Sister Maria. It's also hard not to love Gustavo Caesar carry-on score, lending to the mood at all times and sometimes quietly beautiful, but at its electrifying best with its most discordant unorthodox chord. Sure, the presentation is a little ham-handed, including musical cue, but in no time at all I was thoroughly enjoying myself. Satanico Pandemonium is a cheeky, engrossing joy. With rare exception, the film keeps a very subdued tone and progresses at a leisurely pace, yet is curiously captivating with each turn Maria makes away from her convent. The more she cave to every mounting temptation, the greater the thrill, horror and fun. Every step of the way, Pezet demonstrates a wonderful fierceness and range and nuance in inhabiting the role of the wayward nun. The writing and direction alike are fantastic, arranging giddily enticing, sometimes creepy scenes, and crafting a compelling overall narrative. On the other hand, I admit I am a little bit torn. The ideas that carry the picture for the entirety of its length are dropped in the last 3 to 5 minutes, building suspense and excitement crescendo to anticipation of the utmost peak of what Satanico Pandemonium could dare to achieve, and then it does something different. The ending we get isn't bad. There is definite value in what it portends, but I can't help feeling like it's a bit of cop-out, unwillingness to push the boundary to their extreme, overhanded limit, without betraying plot detail all I would have needed to be satisfied would have been a slow smile. Even with that point of contention, the movie is so strong otherwise that I think the entertainment it provides still handily outweighed its deficiency. Pezet's center performance is enjoyable. The screenplay as a whole is a delight and the underlying theme are wonderfully twisted. Though I am not convinced the picture is everything it could have been, I am still very glad to have watched it. Satanico Pandemonium is a sly, low-key, fun and engaging horror flick ambition only of delicious, enchanting cinematic pleasure, and fault and all it readily succeeds. This non-exploitation film is a bit different to most the other. It takes place in Mexico and the nuns wear sky blue habit. All nuns are frustrated, we know that, but this plot is a bit different. Our heroine is minding her own business, walking through a glade in the wood, when the devil suddenly manifests himself in front of her, and if that were not traumatizing enough, he is not wearing any underpant. This seems to seriously unhinge the young woman because her behavior becomes increasingly erratic and alarming. Satanico Pandemonium is probably best known as the name of Yummy Salma Hayek's character in Robert Roderick From Dusk Till Dawn. What remains unknown to many, however, is the fact that when writing the script, Quentin Tarantino adapted the name from the title of this ingeniously deranged piece of Mexican nunploitation horror. The main protagonist, Anan, by the way, does things that easily compete in weirdness with feeding on biker and trucker. People interested in horror cult cinema will sooner or later find out that Mexican horror cinema has a very specific charm. This is especially the case with the fistful of weird Mexican nunploitation flick, most prominently Alucarda. And while Satanico Pandemonium of 1975 is not nearly as ingenious a film as Alucarda, it is definitely a wonderfully deranged little film that is highly recommendable to exploitation lover. Satanico Pandemonium delivers the element we love about nunploitation cinema. Lots of female undressing, all kind of perversion, occultism, violence and gore, and not least, an enormous portion of religious nastiness, all that in a highly bizarre manner. These elements are highly entertaining for my fellow exploitation fan and can easily make the viewer forgive that the plot is almost non-existent and most of the performances are awful. Satanico Pandemonium is about the kind-hearted nun Sister Maria, certainly the nun I have ever stumbled upon, who, after the Lord of the Flies appeared to her, changes her pious behavior radically. The film delivers all the sleaze and weirdness one could desire in an exploitation flick. In between it sometimes get quite boring, however. Still, the film is deranged and bizarre enough to be a delight to genre lover. Overall, Satanico Pandemonium is not one of the best non-exploitation films I have seen, but it is weird enough and more than recommend to fans of deranged exploitation.